Welcome back to the show, it's Gei4Mei, and today we're celebrating the first anniversary of the Gei4Mei Show. But Gei4Mei, haven't you been making reviews for 2 years? Well, it's the first year we're celebrating it. And to commemorate such a monumental event, we're gonna review the buzzworthy Bumblebee Troop Builder Multi-Pack, a set of 4 brand new repaints to supercharge your shelves without breaking the bank. But Gei4Mei, you could barely review 1 figure a month. How will you review 4? Watch me, bitch. First up is the animated universe Autot Trooper, who is easily the most anticipated figure in this set, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, its new animated rep, following Legacy Prow's release earlier this year. You can check out that review after this one. And secondly, there aren't usually any troop builders offered for Autobots. Decepticons always get Seekers or Viacons, so it's a nice change of pace. Since the Autot Troopers and animated shared a body style with Ironhide, this figure has been repainted from the Siege Ironhide mold, which makes me happy since it's my favorite of the Siege Deluxes. He's perfectly chunky, the transformation is fun and straightforward, and the vehicle mode is a literal brick on wheels. I'm gonna throw him at a politician next time I'm in DC. But we all know what we're really here to talk about. 3 out of the 4 figures in this set include an alternate head, and with the Autot Trooper, you just need to take his faceplate off, which reveals an inner skull piece that the alternate head slots onto. This cool new feature was conceptualized by veteran Takara designer Shogo Hasui-san, and I sure hope this dude got a raise and a PP suck for this idea. He deserves it. The super blocky alternate head is inspired by the original Autot Trooper from the often maligned Kiss Players series, the Japanese G1 interquel where the Transformers get powered up by kissing adorable young women. Now, I know how that sounds, but listen, if Windblade came up to me and said, "Gei4Mei, I need your human penis to defeat the Decepticons," I would have said, yeah, that makes sense. So we literally got a Kiss Players figure in Legacy before Studio Series Hound was released. Marcus Mayer had total deniability had he chosen to not include this head in this set, given the fandom's open distaste for the series. But when we're talking obscure lore references, he just can't help himself. Listen to how happy he sounds.
Yes, it's like, oh man, we're digging deep.
Yeah, we are digging deep here.
Other than that, the only accessory Autot Trooper includes is this weird rocket launcher / hammer weapon. It's nifty, and having 2 weapons in one offers more customization options for those with multiple copies of the figure. It's also a big step up from the original Autot Trooper, whose weapon was just a bunch of traffic cones stacked up on each other. What? So between pioneering new technology and finally giving the Autobots the much needed battle power they need to match the Decepticon droves, this figure's kind of a big deal. I love this mold, I love seeing animated come back in such a big way, and as the only good guy in this set, I couldn't think of a more worthy inclusion. One single cunning crusader standing against a gallery of dastardly villains.
One man alone. Stop saying that. Betrayed by the country he loves. My goodness.
Next up, we have the G2 Universe Cybertronian Trooper. This figure is also kind of a big deal. Everyone knows G2 as the toy line that looks like an acid trip come to life, but fewer people have read the accompanying G2 comic series. It introduces non-toy characters like G-Axis and his army of second-generation Decepticons, who are hell-bent on conquering the universe and destroying both the Autobots and the original Decepticons. The G2 Trooper is a remold of Legacy Skullgrin, adding a new chest and 2 new heads based off the many foot soldiers making up G-Axis' army. Like Autot Trooper, the heads are more easily swappable thanks to the skull system, and the horns can also be moved around and mixed up between the heads. Legacy Skullgrin was one of the figures I regret not making a video about, and I'm glad they reused it, because it's really cool. The robot mode has this hulking, stocky frame with these big stooped shoulders and is adorned with small bony protrusions, giving it a savage edge. He's even got a little skull encrusted on his pee-pee. The transformation is fun and surprisingly a lot more involved than the vehicle mode deserves. It looks alright, but it's a figurative brick with no wheels. How am I supposed to roll him over my sister's titties if he doesn't have any wheels? There's also a huge ugly hole in the side that goes straight through the chassis. You can kind of cover it up with his swords, but it mostly makes the tank look like it has shitty little wings now. They're based off of G1 Skullgrin's original accessories, fusing his blasters and his bony scimitar together into what I can only describe as a bionicle weapon. And while it's rather efficient that they can be used as either swords or blasters, they did the thing I hate where they put paint on the handle of the weapon. It's just gonna scrape off after some extended use. The paint in general is my least favorite thing about this figure. Compared to Skullgrin, he has much fewer and simpler paint applications, which, okay, He's one of 4 in a budget gift set. They have to cut costs somewhere. But I wonder if those cuts were in the quality of the paint too. The gray on the Trooper seems off. Like it feels rougher and chalkier than the greens and whites they used. As far as I can tell, the rest of the figures all have the same consistency of paint, so I'm not sure why this color would be any different. The G2 Trooper is just about everything I would have asked for in a G2 Trooper. They picked a decent mold, and although it's still a budding faction with limited members, including the 2 heads gets a lot of mileage out of this one figure. I hope he's popular enough to convince Hasbro to do more from this series, like maybe a G2 Flyer out of Kingdom Cyclonus. This is $1 million idea, and I'm literally giving it to them for free. Our third of the set is the Quintin Bayth, and there is a shockingly interesting history behind this figure. He is a straight repaint of a previously retooled Quintin Bayth, found in the Pit of Judgment multipack. But in that set, the Bayth had this very inaccurate brown and pea green color scheme, as opposed to the more standard Alicon palette. Apparently, Hasbro had referred to an oversaturated picture of the character taken from the wiki page as the basis of that older figure's color scheme. Now, I love our Transformers team. They have a lot of genuine love for this franchise, which is more than I could say about some of the other teams at Hasbro.
Heaps of original action.
And I know we all rely on the wiki, even me. But fucking Googling shit and going, well, it's on the wiki, it must be right, is not how you should conduct research for your $1 million toy franchise. Oversights like this are such a common occurrence nowadays that there is an entire wiki page cataloging the mistakes resulting from Hasbro's poor research. Now that's funny. Anyway, this guy's pretty badass. I like his colors a lot, especially the metallic blue accenting around his neck and on his forearms. There's quite a few beefy fellas in this set, isn't there? Should have called this the Mass Builder multi-pack. Wait, that's a game? And it's not a Pierce Brosnan simulator? He also features an interchangeable head, the other being the original head from the Earthrise Alicon figure. Unfortunately, these heads do not have that new inner skull piece, so you have to pull the entire thing off the ball joint to swap them. It's a bit scary to replace the Bayth head too. It seems like it would be really easy to break off the horns or prick yourself on them. I like his weapons too. His main one is a combination axe / spear / mace, and it's got a really funky design with this cool textured grip on the top of the handle. It splits in the middle to slide into his fists, and he can actually hold it with 2 hands despite the limited arm articulation. Or he can dual wield the pieces. He also comes with a small curved cutlass that hides in his tail. This dude is straight up barbaric. His beast mode is this absolutely monstrous looking Alicon with crazy proportions, a thick sloping body, and humongous crunching jaw, but teeny tiny T-Rex arms. He can still hold his weapons like this too. I'd say there's a certain exaggerated charm to it, out here with his fucking reptar looking ass. He's like a little kaiju or a Power Rangers villain. I can imagine him in the middle of a big field getting his cloaca caved in by 5 teenagers with attitude. At least it wasn't 5 I'd say the Bayth is my biggest surprise of this set. He was far from the one I was most excited about, but he has become the one that I find myself enjoying way more than I was expecting to. And with the Quintessons becoming their own cozy sub-faction in recent years, especially with their early appearance in the new Energon comic series, I'm glad to add more of these little freaks to my collection. Finally, we have this generic Seeker, and since we've already talked about this mold in my Studio Series Starscream review, we're not going to get too deep into him. Truthfully, I can't imagine that this guy is going to top anybody's best of the year lists. He's easily the least interesting part of this set. A lot of people already don't like this mold. He really just looks like an off-color Thundercracker, and he's the only figure to not include an alternate head. A cone head could have done wonders for this guy and helped him look a lot more distinctive, even if it were the only head that he came with. Of the 4 figures in my set, he is also the one with noticeably the worst quality too. Some of the molding looks sloppy, the details are a bit gummy, and there are a lot of loose joints. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that we should always insist on top quality from Hasbro, but the set itself only costs $78 retail, which is about the price of just the 3 deluxes. So essentially getting a free Voyager 2 makes me kind of willing to overlook some shoddiness, especially since he's mostly meant to stand around and fill out the ranks on a shelf. Like I said before, the Decepticons tend to get the lion's share of army builders anyway, so while I could think of a few other figures that might have taken his place, I don't mind getting just a basic Seeker, if it means the other figures get a chance to shine a little brighter. And if you happen to miss out on the Earthrise Seeker 2-pack, he could convincingly take Thundercracker's place. Or it could be the first official Go 1 figure. But imagine if they'd gotten crazy and finally given us an Earthrise Slipstream or Sunstorm instead. That could have made this figure a real winner and would have been a more worthwhile way to round out this set in my opinion. So in conclusion, I think this set is pretty cool. It's like a BotCon set you could buy at Target. Not only does it feature several deep cut characters with different customization options, it's quite thrifty by modern pricing standards. Though I do have some concerns with the effort and quality of the set. When faced faced with the price and function of it, I don't find myself as worried about the condition of the individual figures. I think it's definitely worth buying, at least once. And now that we know nothing is off limits, I think I know who needs to be in the next pack. Thank you to all my piglets for sticking with me these last 2 years. Thank you for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers, as well as 1,000 subs on my second channel. I really appreciate the support, and I will continue to try to make great videos for everyone to enjoy. But anyway, that's just my opinions. Please leave yours in the comments below. Bye bye.